If someone has too many assets and needs care now, is it too late?
So that's an assumption a lot of people make. I just kind of told you the best plan is if you're going to transfer things, make the transfer more than 5 years before you need care. A lot of people are reluctant to do that, and again, the worst place to transfer is to the kids anyway. But if they wait too late, they assume then that, well, I'm receiving care now, and I haven't transferred anything, so my only option is to spend everything. And by the way, that's what they're going to tell you at the Medicaid office. They're going to say that you've got to spend down all your assets, basically pay for that private care month by month until you're down to that $4,000. And once you're down below that $4,000, Medicaid will pick up. And that's certainly one choice. That's one solution, but it's one of many solutions. The short answer to your question is there are always other things that can be done. The Medicaid enabling legislation is very large, and it has lots of planning opportunities in it for someone that's skilled and knows what they're doing in there. There's a yellow brick road that they design about what you can spend money on and not get penalized for, how you can make transfers and where you can make those transfers without adversely affecting someone. The fact that you're already in nursing home care, the fact that you've waited until within that 5 years doesn't stop you from doing that planning. I always tell people that in most cases we can save half to sometimes 2/3 of an individual's assets, regardless of where they are in that care. If we plan early enough, we can save all the assets. We can move everything into usually a trust within in 5 years more, greater than their application period. But if we're within that 5 years, or we've even already started paying for nursing home care, we can still usually save half to 2/3, sometimes all. Again, in some circumstances, we're able to save 100% of the assets. So it's never too late.
And the whole point of this planning is so that even though you may have retirement, you may have savings, you may have some wealth in those years that you may need nursing home care, it's only going to extend beyond how many years. So it's important to take care of those assets ahead of time.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like any other planning that you do. So if someone on the wealthy side of the spectrum, if they do nothing and they die, the federal government will take about 40 to 45% of their assets in what we call an estate tax. But if there's planning that they can do, because if they're given a choice, they would say, well, I'd rather my children and my spouse receive that than the federal government receive that. And so they can do planning to protect those assets from taxation. This is the exact same thing. In fact, a lot of the same strategies that we use to protect against those taxes, we can do the same thing to make assets exempt for Medicaid purposes.
Okay.
There's two sets of rules, essentially. There's a set of rules for people that don't do planning. That's one set of rules. The rule is simply spend everything until you're broke. There's a second set of rules that apply for people that do planning. And those individuals are permitted to protect a lot of their assets for the benefit of themselves, perhaps, or for the benefit of their children, or more frequently for the benefit of their spouse. These individuals worked hard through 30 and 40 years of working, saved up a good retirement for a standard of living that they look forward to enjoying together. Sadly, a medical crisis hits, one of them winds up with Alzheimer's. It's not really fair for that individual spouse that worked so hard and saved to now be left destitute or nearly left destitute just because they had the misfortune of marrying someone with that genetic defect as opposed to a bad heart or my rotator cuff, because Medicare would cover those things. And so for those individuals, there's additional planning that can be done so that the spouse that's left at home can have sufficient assets to feel comfortable in their retirement years and live at the standard of living that they planned for, that they prepared for, rather than having everything taken from them, everything having to be spent on nursing home care, and then they're left with a spouse that's broke. Or no spouse at home, individual has to go to a nursing home. Medicaid says that spouse, that nursing home occupant gets to keep $44 a month for personal needs, $44. That doesn't go very far, as you can imagine. But if that person does some planning ahead, they can have assets over in an account that can be used to pay for extra things they may need, their hair getting done, their nails, trips out of the nursing home, better meals, sitters that can come in periodically that they may need, because while nursing home care is good and provides around-the-clock care, sometimes there's extra special care that's needed under certain circumstances and for certain limited periods of time. If I've got an individual that can only have $44 a month, there's not much way to pay for that extra care. But if I've got someone in a nursing home that is on Medicaid, and we've got $100,000 set aside in a trust that's not countable for Medicaid, we've got all the money in the world now to pay for those extra things like sitters that when at the times they need them, pay for extra things like trips out that may improve their quality of life in an otherwise not too happy circumstance.